Instructions for completing the New York State application for public assistance, child care in lieu of public assistance, supplemental nutrition assistance program, Medicaid and supplemental nutrition assistance program, Medicaid and public assistance, services including foster care, child care assistance, emergency assistance only. The instructions in this video are for the form New York State application for certain benefits and services. You can find the form at this link. Tips for completing the application. Whenever you see public assistance or PA on the application, it means family assistance and/or safety net assistance. We call both programs public assistance. PA and the other programs for which you can apply using this application were created to give temporary help to those in need. Certain programs limit how long you can get help, so it is important for you to achieve self-sufficiency as soon as you can. The SSD is there to help you with achieving self-sufficiency. In order to do so, we must know who you are and what you need. This is why you must fill out an application. As a part of the application process, the SSD will ask you to provide and verify information about yourself and other individuals for whom you are applying. A listing of documentation requirements, which can be found at the end of these instructions, shows the kinds of information you may need to provide and the kinds of documents that can verify this information. For instance, to prove who you are, you can supply photograph identification, a driver's license, a United States passport, a naturalization certificate, hospital or doctor's records, or adoption papers. In addition, the SSD will interview you as part of the application process. The SSD will combine interviews for multiple programs where possible. The application and these instructions are numbered by section to help you. Please keep the following in mind when filling out the application. Please print clearly. Do not write in the shaded areas. Be sure to complete each section relevant to the person or persons for whom you are applying. Always use legal names, unless otherwise instructed. If you are applying as someone's representative, please provide information about that person, not yourself. Make sure that both you and the person you are representing sign the last page of the application. If you are unsure about how to complete any part of this application, ask your SSD for help. In addition to the LDSS 2921, New York State application for certain benefits and services, make sure you have copies of the following informational booklets available from the SSD or www.ada.ny.gov, LDSS 4148A, Book 1, What You Should Know About Your Rights and Responsibilities, LDSS 4148B, Book 2, What You Should Know About Social Services Programs. Supplement to Book 1, LDSS 4148A, and Book 2, LDSS 4148B, Important Changes in the Medicaid Program, LDSS 4148C, Book 3, What You Should Know If You Have an Emergency. Cover page for the application. If you are blind or seriously visually impaired, you may choose to receive notices regarding the program or programs for which you apply or enroll in an alternative format. Alternative formats are available in large print, data CD, audio CD, or Braille if you assert that none of the other alternative formats will be equally effective for you. If you are blind or seriously visually impaired, would you like to receive written notices in an alternative format? If you are blind or seriously visually impaired, check yes or no to indicate whether you would like to receive written notices regarding the program or programs for which you apply or enroll in an alternative format. If yes, check the type of format you would like. If you are blind or seriously visually impaired and would like to receive notices regarding the program or programs for which you apply or enroll in an alternative format, check the type of format you prefer: large print, data CD, audio CD, or Braille. Braille is available as an alternative format if you assert that none of the other alternative formats will be as effective for you as Braille. If you require another accommodation or need other help completing this application, please contact your SSD. Page 1 of the application. Section 1. Check each program you or any household member are applying for. Check the box for each program that you or any household member wants to apply for. Medicaid includes the Medicaid program, Medicaid buy-in for working people with disabilities, and family planning benefit programs. When you see MA on the application, it means Medicaid, which was previously called medical assistance. You may apply for MA using this application only if you are also applying for public assistance, PA, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, at the same time. If you want to apply for Medicaid and SNAP, check the Medicaid MA and SNAP box. If you want to apply for Medicaid and PA, check the Medicaid MA and PA box. If you wish to only apply for MA, you can go online at https://nystateofhealth.ny.gov/ and/or call 1-855-355-5777 for more information or to apply, or you may use the MA-only paper application, Form DOH 4220, which your worker can give you, or call the MA helpline at 1-800-541-2831. If you want to apply only for the Medicare Savings Program, MSP, you must apply with Form DOH 4328, which your worker can provide to you. If you have an immediate need for personal care services, you should apply for MA separately using the DOH 4220 MA application form. If you are eligible for public assistance, but decide you only need childcare assistance, check the Childcare in lieu of PA box. If you change your mind and decide you need public assistance, you can apply for this program at any time. If you check the Emergency Assistance Only (EMRG) box, you are indicating that you are applying for a one-time only emergency payment, and an eligibility determination will not be made for any other programs. Section 2. What is your primary language? Check the English, Spanish, or Other box to indicate the language you use most often. If you check the Other box, print your preferred language, PUB 1301 statewide. Do you want to receive notices in? You will receive notices regarding the programs for which you apply or enroll. Check the English Only or English and Spanish box to indicate the language or languages in which you would like to receive these notices. Section 3. Applicant Information. Name. Print your name, including your first name, middle initial, MI, and last name. Marital status. Print whether you are now single, married, widowed, legally separated, or divorced. If you have ever been married, print the appropriate status. Do not print single. Phone number. Print the phone number at which you can be reached most easily. Include your area code. Residential address, street address. Print the house or building number, street, avenue, road, etc., where you live. Apartment number. Print the number of your apartment, if applicable. City. Print the name of the city you live in. County. Print the name of the county you live in. State. Print the name of the state you live in. Zip code. Print the zip code for your address. In care of name. If someone else receives your mail for you, print that person's name. Mailing address. If you get your mail somewhere other than where you live, Print the street address and apartment number if applicable, or post office box, city, county, state, and zip code of this location. How long have you lived at your present address? Print the number of years and/or months that you have lived at your current address. Is this a shelter? Check yes or no to indicate whether the place you are living is a shelter. Another phone where you can be reached. Print another phone number where you can be reached and, if applicable, the name of the person to whom the number belongs. Include the area code. Directions to current address. Print directions on how to find your home. Use commonly known landmarks. Former address. Print the address where you lived before you moved to your present address. If you are currently without a home, check here. If you do not have anywhere to live or do not have an address, check this box. Agency helping applicant or contact person. If someone is helping you to apply, print the name of that person, their agency, if any, and the person's phone number. Do you need the Medicaid portion of this application and the potential receipt of any Medicaid coverage to be kept confidential? Check yes or no to indicate on the application and/or tell your worker whether you need your application and/or correspondence related to the receipt of any Medicaid coverage to be kept confidential. Section 4. If you are applying for SNAP, read the statement in Section 4 of the application and sign and date underneath the statement if it applies to you or anyone for whom you are applying. Please contact the SSD if you have questions about this section. Section 5. Do any of these apply to you? Check each situation that applies to you or someone for whom you are applying. Page 2 of the application. Section 6. Household information. Name. Print the first name, middle initial, MI, and last name of everyone who lives with you, even if they are not applying. List yourself first. This person is applying for. Check the type or types of assistance each person is applying for. PA for public assistance, SNAP for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Massachusetts for Medicaid, CC for Child Care Assistance, FC for foster care, S for services, such as child or adult preventive or protective services, or EMRG for an emergency assistance only. Date of birth. Print the date of birth of each person who is applying. Sex and gender identity. New York State ensures your right to access state benefits and/or services regardless of sex, gender identity, or expression. You must report your sex and the sex of all household members as male or female, even if your birth certificate identifies your gender as X. Please report M for male or F for female, consistent with the sex designation currently on file with the United States Social Security Administration. The sex you report is needed to process your application. It will not appear on any benefit card you may receive or any other public-facing document. Gender identity is how you perceive yourself and what you call yourself. Your gender identity can be the same as or different from your sex assigned at birth. Gender identity is not required for this application. If your gender identity, or the gender identity of anyone in your household, is different than the sex you report for that person, and you would like to provide that person's gender identity, print male, female, non-binary, X, transgender, or different identity in the space provided. If you print different identity, you may choose to describe that person's gender identity further in the space provided. Providing this information is voluntary. It will not affect the eligibility of the person or persons applying or the level of benefits received. Relationship to you. For each person, print their relationship to you. For example, spouse, son, foster child, friend, roommate, boarder, etc. Social Security number of applying household members. Print the Social Security number of each person who is applying unless that person is a pregnant woman who is applying only for Medicaid, a non-citizen who is applying only for Medicaid or benefits as a result of an emergency medical condition, an adult who is applying only for adult protective services, or applying only for childcare assistance. If the person is applying for childcare assistance and preventive services or in lieu of public assistance, print that person's Social Security number. Other services, such as foster care, child protective services, child preventive services, and counseling, are funded by a variety of sources, many of which require that a Social Security number be provided. While applicants for some services are not required to provide a Social Security number, these services may be PUB 1301 statewide if you do not furnish a Social Security number. We are therefore requesting a Social Security number for all applicants for these services in order to help them get all the benefits for which they may qualify. Highest school grade completed. Enter the highest school grade, 1 through 12, completed for each person who is applying. If more than 12 years, enter 13. If no formal schooling, enter 0. If you are applying only for services, you do not have to answer this question. Does this person, including minor children, buy food or prepare meals with you? It is important to check yes or no to this question for every person who lives with you, whether or not they are applying. Sometimes people who buy food and prepare meals separately may get more SNAP benefits. Please list maiden or other names by which you or anyone in your household have been known. Print any maiden names, names from a previous marriage, or other names used by anyone listed in this section. Include first name, middle initial, MI, and last name. Page 3 of the application. Section 7. Race, ethnicity. Complete this section for each person applying. Enter Y for yes or N for no in the column labeled H to indicate whether the person is Hispanic and or Latino. Enter Y for yes or N for no in each of the race columns to indicate each person's racial background. H, Hispanic or Latino. I, Native American or Alaskan Native. A, Asian. B, Black or African American. P, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. W, White. U, unknown. Providing this information is voluntary. It will not affect the eligibility of the person or persons applying or the level of benefits received. The reason for requesting this information is to ensure that program benefits are distributed without regard to race, color, or national origin. Page 4 of the application. Section 8. Citizenship non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status. Complete this section for each person who is applying for any of the following programs: child care assistance, foster care, or other services. In addition, if you or anyone in your household is applying for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, you must list everyone in the household, even if they are not applying for SNAP. You must also list any siblings and parents who live with any children applying for public assistance. PA. If applying for child care assistance or foster care only, complete this section only for the children who need child care or foster care. If you do not complete this section for a person who is applying, that person may not receive assistance. Name. Print the first name, middle initial, MI, and last name of each person who is applying or who must PUB1301. Statewide, revised July 20th. Check either citizen, national, or non-citizen for each person. Next to each person's name, check either the citizen national box to indicate that the person is a U.S. citizen, Native American, or national or non-citizen box to indicate that the person is not a U.S. citizen, Native American, or national. USCIS number, alien registration number, or non-citizen number. Enter the person's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, number or non-citizen number, if applicable. Section 9, Certification. Read carefully the statements at the bottom of this section, then sign and date the certification attesting to the citizenship or non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status of each person who is applying for any of the following programs. If applying for child care assistance or foster care only, complete this section only for the children who need child care or foster care. If anyone applying is not a U.S. citizen, Native American, or national, check the programs for which that person is applying and has non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status. Public Assistance, PA, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, Medicaid, MA, unless the person applying is pregnant, Child Care Assistance, CC, Foster Care, FC, Other Services, S, and/or Emergency Assistance, EMRG. Satisfactory non-citizen status means a non-citizen status that does not make the person ineligible for benefits from a given program. Please note that different programs have different non-citizen status requirements. LDSS 4 148B, Book 2, What You Should Know About Social Services Programs, contains more information about satisfactory non-citizen statuses. You may also contact your SSD for more information. Any adult household member or authorized representative may sign the certification for all applying household members. For example, a parent without citizenship or satisfactory non-citizen status may sign the certification for a child with citizenship or satisfactory non-citizen status. If an applying household member is under age 18 or is age 18 or older but unable to sign their own name due to a medical impairment or disability, a household member who is age 18 or older must sign for them. When signing for another household member, sign your own name. For example, Mary Doe, when signing for infant Johnny Doe, should sign Mary Doe. Checking a box and signing the certification means that you certify, under penalty of perjury, that you and/or the person or persons for whom you are signing is or are a U.S. citizen, Native American, national, or non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status for each program for which you or they are applying. If you do not check one of the boxes or provide a U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services USCIS number for a non-citizen who is applying, that person may not receive assistance. You should not sign the certification for yourself or any other person who is not a U.S. citizen, Native American, or national, or who does not have non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status. Non-citizens without satisfactory immigration status are not eligible for PA, SNAP benefits, or Medicaid, except Medicaid for a pregnant person or treatment of an emergency medical condition. Such persons also may be ineligible for certain services. We may confirm the non-citizen status of any or all household members applying for PA, SNAP benefits, Medicaid, or services by submitting the information you give us to the USCIS. Information received from USCIS may affect your household's eligibility and level of benefits. Page 5 of the application. Section 10. Information regarding referral to the Child Support Enforcement Unit. You do not need to fill out this section if you are applying only for Medicaid and you are pregnant, gave birth within the past 60 days, or are applying for children under 21 only, or if you are applying for child care assistance only. 1. Check yes or no to indicate whether you are applying for any person, including yourself, who is under the age of 21, who was born to unmarried parents, and for whom legal parentage has not been established. 2. Check yes or no to indicate whether you are applying for any person, including yourself, who is under the age of 21, and at least one of this person's parents lives outside of the home. If you checked No for both of these questions, skip to section 11. You do not have to complete the rest of section 10. If you checked Yes for either or both of these questions, you must complete the rest of section 10. 3. Check Yes or No to indicate whether you are under the age of 21. Read carefully the statement that follows. Question 3 and contact your SSD if you do not understand it. Name of individual under age 21. Print the first, middle, and last name of each person for whom you checked. Yes for question 1, 2, and or 3. Non-custodial parent or alleged parent's name and address, date of birth, and social security number. If known, print the first, middle, and last name, address, date of birth, and social security number of the non-custodial parent or the alleged parent of each person for whom you checked. Yes for questions 1, 2, and or 3. The alleged parent is the person who may be the child's parent, but who was not married to the child's other parent before the child was born and has not established legal parentage in a court proceeding or by an acknowledgement of legal parentage. Page 6 of the application. Section 11. Tax filing and dependent status. Print the following information for each individual living in the household: first name, middle initial, and last name. Print the first name, middle initial, and last name of each individual who lives in the household. Tax status. Check the appropriate tax filing status for each individual who lives in the household. Please list any tax dependents who do not live with you and are claimed by you or anyone in your household. If you do not file taxes, you can skip these questions. Name of tax dependent. Print the first name, middle initial, and last name of any individual who does not live with you, but who you or anyone who lives with you claims as a tax dependent. Name of tax filer. For each tax dependent listed, print the first name, middle initial, and last name of the individual living in the household who claims the tax dependent. Section 12. Absent or deceased spouse information. Name of person applying. Print the name of any person applying who is or was married, but whose spouse does not live with them or is deceased. Name of spouse. Print the name of the spouse of any married or formerly married person applying whose spouse does not live with them or is deceased. Date of spouse's birth and date of spouse's death, if applicable. Print the month, day, and year of birth and death, if applicable, of the spouse of any married or formerly married person applying whose spouse does not live with them or is deceased. Spouse's social security number. Print the social security number of the spouse of any married or formerly married person applying whose spouse does not live with them or is deceased. Spouse's address, if applicable. Print the street address, city, county, state, and zip code of the spouse of any married person applying whose spouse does not live with them. If unknown, print the spouse's last known address. Section 13. Absent child information. Name of person applying. Print the name of any person applying who has a child under the age of 21 who does not live with them. Name of absent child and date of birth. Print the name and month, day, and year of birth of any child under the age of 21 who who does not live with a person applying. Address of child. Print the street address, city, county, state, and zip code of any living child under the age of 21 who does not live with a person applying. Legal parentage established. Check yes or no to indicate whether legal parentage has been established for any child under the age of 21 who does not live with a person applying. Do you pay child support? Check yes or no to indicate whether any person applying pays child support for a child under the age of 21 who does not live with them. Section 14. Teen Parent Information. Only complete this section if you are applying for public assistance. Is there a parent under the age of 18, teen parent, in the household? Check yes or no to indicate whether any person applying is a parent under the age of 18. Name. Print the name of any person applying who is a parent under the age of 18. Does the teen parent's child live in the household? Check yes or no to indicate whether the child of any person under the age of 18 who is applying lives with you. Name of teen parent's child. Print the name of the child of any person under the age of 18 who is applying. Pages 7 and 8 of the application. Section 15. Income Information. Indicate if you or anyone who lives with you receives money from and who. Check yes or no for lines 1 through 27 to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you receives money from any of the kinds of income listed, and for each yes answer, print the name of the person who receives the money. amount or value and frequency. For each yes answer, print the dollar amount or value and how often this kind of income is received by each person who receives it. For instance, if you receive $100 in unemployment insurance benefits every week, print 100 per week or 100/week. Supplemental Security Income SSI benefits, state and federal total. If you or anyone who lives with you gets New York State Supplement Program SSP benefits in addition to Supplemental Security Income SSI benefits, add these amounts together and enter them in the amount or value and frequency column for SSI benefits on line 2. If you or anyone who lives with you gets SSP benefits only, enter this amount in the amount or value and frequency column for SSI benefits on line 2. Foster care payments received. If you or anyone who lives with you gets foster care payments, enter this amount into the amount or value and frequency column for foster care payments on line 17. If you or anyone who lives with you gets foster care payments for the care of a foster child or adult, and you are applying for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, benefits, you have two choices. You can choose to include the foster care child or adult in the foster care payments in your SNAP benefits household, or you can choose not to include the foster care child or adult and the foster care payments in your SNAP benefits household. Ask your SSD which choice would give you more SNAP benefits. Child support payments received. If you or anyone who lives with you gets child support payments, print the name of the person who pays the child support after received from online 18. Other income. Describe any other money received by you or anyone who lives with you, including who receives the money, how much they receive, and how often they receive it. Deductions, who and amount or value. And frequency, check yes or no for lines 1 through 15 to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you will claim any of the federal tax deductions listed on the current year's income tax return. For each yes answer, print the name of the person who will claim the deduction and the amount or value and frequency of the expense that will be claimed on the income tax return. Other adjustment. Describe any other federal tax deductions that you or anyone who lives with you will claim on the current year's income tax return, including who will claim the deduction and the amount or value and frequency of the expense that will be claimed on the income tax return. Section 16. Step-parent or non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status sponsor information. Does the step-parent of any children who live with you have any resources or receive income of any kind? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether anyone applying, including yourself, has a step-parent who does not live with you and who has financial resources or receives money from any source. If the step-parent lives with you, the step-parent's resources and income should be included in Section 15, Income Information. If yes, print the name of the step-parent. Is anyone in your household a non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status who was sponsored for admission into the U.S., and who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone in your household is a non-citizen with satisfactory immigration status who was sponsored by someone in order to be admitted to the U.S. If yes, print the name of the individual who was sponsored, name of sponsor, address, and phone number. If yes, print the name of the person who sponsored you or anyone in your household for admission to the U.S., the sponsor's address, and the sponsor's phone number. Pages 9 and 10 of the application. Section 17, Employment Information. Complete this section for yourself and for everyone who lives with you. If you are employed, you may still be eligible for assistance. For the purposes of this section, working age means 18 years of age or older, or 16 years of age or older for anyone who does not attend school. I am currently. Check employed, self-employed, or unemployed to indicate whether you are working, and if so, whether you work for yourself or someone else. Gross income. Print the amount you get paid before taxes on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, not yearly, basis if applicable. Include all wages, salary, overtime pay, commissions, and tips. Hours worked monthly. Print the number of hours you work each month if applicable. Paid. Check weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly to indicate how often you get paid, if applicable. Day of the week paid. Print the day of the week that you get paid, if applicable. Employer's name and address and phone number. Print your employer's name, address, and phone number if applicable. Print self and your business address and phone number if you are self-employed. Is anyone else who lives with you currently employed or self-employed, and who? Check employed or self-employed if anyone who lives with you is working, and print their name. Complete the gross income, hours worked monthly, day of the week paid, employer's name and address, and phone number for any person who lives with you and works, according to the directions above. Is health insurance available through your employer? If you are employed, check yes or no to indicate whether you have medical coverage available through your employer. Does anyone who lives with you have health insurance with an employer, and who? Check yes or no to indicate whether anyone who lives with you has medical coverage through an employer, and if yes, print their name. Name of insurance company. Print the name of your health insurance company and or the health insurance company of any person who lives with you, if applicable. Do you or anyone who lives with you have child or dependent care expenses due to employment? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you has child care or dependent care, for example, for an elderly parent. Expenses as a result of being employed, and print the name of the person with these expenses. Do you or anyone who lives with you have other employment-related expenses? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you has any employment-related expenses, for example, transportation, uniforms, and if yes, print your or their name. If not employed, when was the last time you or anyone who lives with you worked? Who, when, and where? If you or anyone of working age who lives with you is unemployed, print your or their name, the date you or they were last employed, and where you or they were last employed. Why did you or they stop working? Print the reason or reasons that you or anyone of working age who lives with you is unemployed. Did you or anyone living with you file for unemployment? Who, when, and status. PUB1301 statewide. Page 12 of filing. If you or anyone of working age who lives with you is unemployed, check yes or no to indicate whether you or they have filed for unemployment. If yes, print your or their name when you or they filed for unemployment and the status of the filing. Are you or is anyone who lives with you participating in a strike? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you is on strike, that is, has stopped working in protest to an employer's decision or practices, and if yes, print your or their name. When the strike began, if you or anyone who lives with you is on strike, print the date that you or they went on strike. Are you or is anyone who lives with you a migrant or seasonal farm worker? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you travels to different farms for work or works on a farm only during the growing season. And if yes, print your or their name. Do you or any other adult who lives with you have any medical conditions that limit the ability to work or the type of work that can be performed? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone of working age who lives with you has any condition that keeps you or them from working full time or from doing certain kinds of work. And if yes, print your or their name. Describe limitations. If you or anyone of working age who lives with you has any condition that keeps you or them from working full time or from doing certain kinds of work, explain the ways in which you or they are limited. Could you accept a job today? And if not, why? Check yes or no to indicate whether you could take a job today if it was available. And if no, explain why. What type of work would you like to do? What kind of job would you enjoy doing? Page 11 of the application. Section 18, Education and Training. What is your highest level of education completed? Check the description that best matches how much education you have completed. If so, last grade completed. If you did not finish high school, print the last grade that you completed. Does anyone else in the household have a high school diploma, general equivalency diploma, GED, or test assessing secondary completion, task, or higher level of education? Who, degree attained and date completed. Check yes or no to indicate whether anyone who lives with you has a high school diploma, general equivalency diploma, GED, or test assessing secondary completion, task, or higher level of education. If yes, print the name of that person, the degree received, and the date it was received. Complete the following questions for yourself and anyone who lives with you who is applying for or getting assistance. Is or has been in any training program. Who, where, program, dates attended, and dates completed. Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying for or getting assistance has participated in a job training program, and if yes, print the name of that person, where that person attended the training program, the name of the program or what kind of program it was, and the dates that person attended and completed the program. Is 16 years of age or older and is attending school or college. Who and where? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying for or getting assistance is 16 years of age or older and going to school or college, and if yes, print the name of that person and their school or college. Is under 16 years of age and is attending school. Who and school? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying for or getting assistance is under 16 years of age, and if yes, print the name or names of any such person or persons and their school or schools. Page 12 of the application. Section 19. Resources Information. You do not have to fill out this section if you are applying only for services, other than foster care and/or child care assistance. If you are applying only for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, you do not have to indicate whether you have life insurance. Indicate if you or anyone who lives with you who is applying. For lines 1 through 23, check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying for assistance has any of the financial resources listed. Who? For each yes answer, print the names or names of the person or persons with the resources. If yes, amount or value. For each yes answer, print the dollar amount or value of the resource. Be sure to list any joint holdings, that is, resources belonging to two or more people, for example, joint bank accounts. Anyone applying for public assistance or Medicaid must include the resources of any legally responsible relatives. These are people who are required by law to financially support you or anyone applying, such as a spouse or, if you are under the age of 21, any parents or step-parents who live with you or anyone applying. has title or registration to a motor vehicle or vehicles or other vehicle or vehicles, year, make or model, and other. If your name or the name of anyone who lives with you who is applying is listed on the title for a car or other vehicle, print the year, make, and model for each vehicle on line 6. List resources, such as campers, snowmobiles, and boats, after Other on line 6. Has resources other than those listed above. It is very important to let your SSD know right away if you get or are expecting to get money from a lump sum. A lump sum is a one-time payment, such as an insurance settlement, inheritance, or award from a lawsuit or lottery winning. CLDSS 4148A, Book 1, What You Should Know About Your Rights and Responsibilities, for more information about lump sums. Has anyone ever created a trust in the past or transferred any assets into a trust within the past 60 months? If you or your spouse transfer or give away any assets within the 36 months, 60 months for transfers to a trust, prior to the first day of the month in which you receive nursing facility services and you have submitted an application for Medicaid, you may not be eligible to receive nursing facility services or home and community based waivered services under the Medicaid program. If you or anyone applying, or a spouse of you or anyone applying, even if the spouse is not applying or living in the household, has created a trust or put any money into a trust in the past 5 years, print when the trust was created or money was put into it on line 23. Pages 13 through 15 of the application. Section 20. Medical information. Indicate if you or anyone who lives with you who is applying, and if yes, who. Check yes or no to indicate whether any of the situations listed apply to you or anyone who lives with you who is applying for assistance, and if yes, print the name of the person to whom each situation applies. Be sure to list all health and hospital accident insurance that you have or that is available to anyone applying. has paid or unpaid medical bills within 3 months, preceding the month of this application. Medicaid may be able to pay for medical bills for care you were given during the 3 months before the month you apply for help. If you have already paid the bill, we may be able to pay you for the bill if we determine that you would have been eligible for Medicaid at the time. We may be able to pay you even if the doctor or other provider does not accept Medicaid, but we can only pay you the amount Medicaid would have paid, and only if the bill was for services that Medicaid would have covered. Is pregnant. If you or anyone who lives with you who is applying is pregnant, print the due date and the expected number of births on line 14. Health plan selection. Complete this section for anyone applying for Medicaid. Most people enrolled in Medicaid are required to join a managed care health plan unless they are in an exempt category. Use this section to choose a health plan. If you do not know what health plans are available, ask your worker or call the Managed Care Medicaid Choice helpline at 1-800 505 5678. Name of plan you are enrolling in. Print the name of the health plan or plans in which anyone applying for Medicaid wishes to enroll. If you do not know which health plans are available to you, ask the SSD. Last name and first name. Print the last name and first name of each person applying for Medicaid. Date of birth. Print the 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 2-digit year of the date of birth of each person applying for Medicaid. SX. Print M for male or F for female to indicate the sex of each person applying for Medicaid. ID number from Medicaid card if you have one. If anyone applying for Medicaid has a Medicaid card, print the Medicaid card identification number here. Social Security number. Print the Social Security number of each person applying for Medicaid. This is optional if the person is pregnant. Primary care provider or health center. Check box if current provider. Print the name of the primary care provider, that is, general practitioner or family doctor, or the health center anyone applying for Medicaid wishes to use. If this is the provider or center used by this person already, check the box. You must make sure that the provider or center accepts Medicaid before receiving medical care. Name and ID number of OBGYN, checkbox if current provider. If anyone applying for Medicaid needs obstetrician or gynecologist, OBGYN, care and services, print the name of the OBGYN the applicant wishes to use. If the applicant already uses this OBGYN, check the box. You must make sure that the provider or center accepts Medicaid before receiving medical care. You must make sure that any doctor or medical provider you see accepts Medicaid before you get medical care. Section 21. Shelter Information. You do not have to fill out this section if you are applying only for services other than foster care and/or child care assistance. What is your landlord's name, address, and phone number? If you have a landlord, print your landlord's name, address, and phone number. Do you or anyone who lives with you have a rent, mortgage, or other shelter expense? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you pays rent, a mortgage, or other shelter, for example, room and board, expense, and if yes, print the amount you or they pay per month. If you have a mortgage payment, include the amount of property taxes and homeowner's insurance, including fire insurance. Do you or anyone who lives with you have a heat bill separate from your rent or other shelter expense? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you pays for heat separately from your rent, mortgage, or other shelter expense, and if yes, print the amount you or they pay per month. Do you or anyone who lives with you have the following expenses separate from your rent or other shelter expense? For lines 1 through 8, check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you pays for any of the expenses listed separately from your rent, mortgage, or other shelter expense, and if yes, print the amount you or they pay per month. For the questions on lines 9 through 11, check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone applying lives in any of these arrangements. Section 22. Other expenses. Indicate if you or anyone who lives with you who is applying, and if yes, amount. Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying makes any of the payments listed or has any expenses not listed on lines 1 through 6. Identify on line 6 any expenses not listed. For each yes answer, print the amount of the payment or expense and how often it is paid. For example, $100 per week or $100/week. Do you or anyone who lives with you who is applying owe at least 4 months of support for a child under age 21? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you who is applying owes 4 months or more of child support. Page 16 of the application. Section 23. Other information. Do you buy or plan to buy meals from a home delivery or communal dining service? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone applying currently buys or plans to buy meals from a home delivery, for example, Meals on Wheels, or communal dining, for example, a cafeteria in the building where you live. Service. Are you able to cook or prepare meals at home? Check yes or no to indicate whether you have a place at home where you can cook. For purposes of the questions on lines 10 through 12, U.S. military means the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Merchant Marine during World War II. Have you or anyone in your household ever been in the U.S. military? And who? Check yes or no to indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you has ever been in any of the PU B1301 statewide. Page 16. Military branches listed above, and if yes, print their name. Has your spouse ever been in the U.S. military? Check yes or no to indicate whether your spouse has ever been in any of the military branches listed above. Is anyone in your household a dependent of someone who is or was in the U.S. military? And who? Check yes or no. To indicate whether you or anyone who lives with you is financially dependent on someone who is or ever has been in any of the military branches listed above. And if yes, print the name of the dependent. Do you or does anyone who lives with you receive assistance or services now? If yes, who, and type of assistance. Check yes or no to indicate if you or anyone who lives with you now receives public assistance, Medicaid Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, formerly Food Stamp, benefits, child care assistance, or services. If yes, print this person's name and the type of assistance received. Have you or anyone who lives with you received assistance or services in the past? If yes, who and type of assistance? Check yes or no to indicate if you or anyone who lives with you has ever received public assistance, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, child care assistance, or services in the past. If yes, print this person's name and the type of assistance received. Other information continued. Check yes or no to indicate whether the situations described in the next 9 questions apply to you or anyone who lives with you. And if yes, print the name of the person to whom the situation applies. If you do not understand these questions, ask your SSD to explain. Please note that New York state law provides for a fine or jail, or both, for a person found guilty of obtaining public assistance, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, child care assistance, or services by hiding the facts or not telling the truth. Property transfer status. Check the I have box or I have not box to indicate whether you or anyone applying has sold, transferred, or given away any property in order to receive public assistance or SNAP benefits. Please note that New York state law provides for a fine or jail, or both, for a person found guilty of obtaining public assistance, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, child care assistance, or services by hiding the facts or not telling the truth. Pages 18 through 24 of the application. Notices, assignments, authorizations, and consents. Read all of the information in this section carefully or have someone read it to you. This section contains important information about your rights and responsibilities relative to receiving assistance, as well as penalties you may incur. For example, a fine and or jail, if you do not fulfill your responsibilities under this section. By signing and submitting an application, you indicate that you understand and agree to the statements in this section. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Authorized Representative, if you want someone to apply for supplemental nutrition. Assistance Program, SNAP, benefits for you and or you want someone who does not live with you to get the SNAP benefits for you and or use them to buy food for you. Print that person's name, address, and phone number in the box. This person is your authorized representative. The authorized representative must sign and date the signature section at the end of the application. If your household does not live in an institution, a responsible adult member of your household must sign and date the application also, unless your household has otherwise designated the authorized representative to do so in writing. Release of medical information. Check. Do not disclose HIV/AIDS information. Do not disclose mental health information and or do not disclose drug and alcohol information. If you do not agree to have this medical information about you and or applying family members disclosed as permitted, PUB 1301, statewide page 17 by law. Signature section. Read this section carefully or have someone read it to you. New York state law provides for a fine or jail, or both, for a person found guilty of obtaining public assistance, Medicaid, supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits, child care assistance, or services by hiding the facts or not telling the truth. By signing and submitting an application, you indicate that you understand and agree to the statements in this section, and that all of the information you have provided on this application or will provide to the SSD in the future is complete and correct to the best of your knowledge. Applicant signature and date signed. Sign your name and print the date you signed the application, unless you have designated a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, authorized representative on the application, and you live in an institution, in which case the authorized representative may sign and date the application. If you do not reside in an institution, both you and the authorized representative must sign and date the application, unless you have previously designated the SNAP authorized representative to do so in writing. If you have filled out the application for someone else, sign your name, not the name of the person for whom you applied, and print the date you signed. Spouse or protective representative signature and date. Signed. If you are married and applying for public assistance, Medicaid, child care assistance, or services, your spouse must sign and date the application. If you are married and applying just for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, only one spouse must sign and date the application. If you have a protective representative, that person must sign and date the application. Authorized representative signature. If you have designated a SNAP authorized representative on the application, that person must sign and date the application. I consent to withdraw my application for. Do not check any of the boxes or sign or date this section if you want to submit an application. Only mark this section if you want to withdraw your application for one or more programs. To withdraw your application for a program, check the box next to that program and sign and date where indicated. Your application will be withdrawn only for the program or programs you check. Voter registration form. The last two pages of this application are a voter registration form. Using the form to register or declining to register to vote will not affect the decision made about your application for benefits and/or services, or the amount of assistance that you may receive. If you would like help filling out the voter registration form, ask your SSD. Documentation requirements. This following list of eligibility factors and documentation requirements is solely for informational purposes. Your SSD will inform you which of the eligibility factors you will be required to prove. You may be asked to prove other eligibility factors not listed below. You may be able to provide documentation not listed below to prove these eligibility requirements. If you have any questions regarding documentation requirements, please contact your SSD. Eligibility factor. To prove this factor, provide one of the following or two of the following. If you are applying for SNAP benefits or Medicaid only, you need to bring only one form for each eligibility factor. Identity. You must prove who you are. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: photo ID, driver's license, U.S. passport, naturalization certificate, hospital or doctor's records, adoption paper, or two of the following: statement from another person, validated social security number, birth or baptismal certificate. Marital status. You must prove if you are married, divorced, separated, or widowed. Provide one of the following: marriage or death certificates, separation agreement, divorce decree, Social Security records, VA records, or two of the following: statement from clergy, census records, newspaper notice, statement from another person. Residence. You must prove where you live. Provide one of the following: statement from landlord, current rent receipt or lease, mortgage records, or two of the following: statement from another person, current mail, school records. Household composition or size. You must prove who is living with you. Provide one of the following: statement from non relative landlord, or two of the following: statements from other persons. Age. You must prove the age of each person applying for assistance, where appropriate. Provide one of the following: birth certificate, baptismal certificate, hospital records, adoption records, naturalization certificate, driver's license, or two of the following: insurance policy, census records, school records, statement from another person, physician statement, official correspondence from SSA. Absent parent. If the parent of any child in your home is not living with you, you must prove this. Provide one of the following: death certificate, survivor's benefits, hospital records, VA or military records, divorce papers, proof of remarriage, or two of the following: newspaper notice, insurance company records, institutional records, agency case records, and burial payment files, statement from another person. Absent parent information. You must provide any information you have: name, address, social security number, birth date, employment. Provide one of the following: pay stubs, tax returns, social security or VA records, monetary determination letters, ID cards, health insurance, driver's license or registration. Eligibility factor: Social Security number for public assistance, SNAP benefits, and Medicaid only. You do not have to provide proof of your Social Security number, SSN, unless the SSN you give does not match with SSA's records or cannot be verified by the agency. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: Social Security card, official correspondence from SSA. A Social Security number is not required for non-citizens who are seeking Medicaid for emergency treatment only, or are Medicaid-only applicants who are pregnant. Eligibility factor. Citizenship or current non-citizen status. U.S. citizens are eligible for public assistance, SNAP, and Medicaid. Non-citizens must be in satisfactory immigration status in order to be eligible for public assistance, SNAP, or Medicaid. Immigration status is not an eligibility factor for pregnant women or immigrant children applying for Child Health Plus B. Undocumented immigrants and temporary non-immigrants are eligible only for the treatment of an emergency medical condition. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: birth certificate, baptismal certificate, hospital records, U.S. passport, military service records, naturalization certificate, USCIS documentation, evidence of continuous U.S. residence since prior to January 1st, 1972. Eligibility factor. Earned income from employer. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current wage stubs. Eligibility factor. From self-employment. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: pay envelopes, on letterhead, rate of pay per hour, hours worked per week, date of first pay, if new and employer's phone number, contact with employer business records, tax records, records and related materials concerning self-employment earnings and expenses, current income tax return. Eligibility factor. Income from rent or room and board. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current contribution check, statement from roomer, boarder, tenant, income tax records. Eligibility factor. Unearned income, child support. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from family court, statement from person paying support. Eligibility factor. Unemployment insurance benefits, UIB. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: check stubs, current award certificate, current benefit check, official correspondence with NYS Department of Labor, current award certificate, current benefit check, official correspondence from SSA. Eligibility factor. Social Security benefits, including SS, veterans benefits. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current award certificate, current benefit check, official correspondence from VA. Unearned income. Continued. Eligibility factor. Workers' compensation. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: award letter, check stub. Eligibility factor. Education grants and loans. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from school, statement from bank, award letter. Eligibility factor. Interest or dividends or royalties. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from bank or credit union, statement from broker or agent. Eligibility factor. Private pensions and annuity. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current award letter, current benefit check, official correspondence from source of income. Eligibility factor. Resources. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from household, statement from nursing home. Eligibility factor. Bank accounts, checking saving retirement, IRA, and KEO. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current bank records, current credit union records. Eligibility factor. Stocks, bonds, certificates. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: stock certificate, bonds, statement from financial institutions. Eligibility factor. Life insurance. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: insurance policy, statement from insurance company. Eligibility factor. Burial trust or fund burial plot or funeral arrangement. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: bank records, burial agreement, burial plot deed, statement from funeral director. Eligibility factor. Income tax or earned income tax credit, EITC. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: tax refund, statement from tax office. Eligibility factor. Real estate other than residence. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: deed, statement from real estate broker, appraisal or estimate of current value by broker. Eligibility factor, motor vehicle. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: registration, older models, title of ownership, appraisal of current value by dealer, financing data. Eligibility factor, lump sum payment. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from source of payment. Eligibility factor, shelter expenses. You must prove how much it costs you to live where you do. You may need to provide separate documentation for each item of shelter expense. Medicaid does not require documentation of shelter expenses. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: current rent receipt, current lease, mortgage book or records, property and school tax records, landlord statement, sewer and water bills, homeowners insurance records, fuel bills, non-heating utility bills, telephone bills. Eligibility factor, medical bills. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: copies of medical bills, paid and unpaid. Eligibility factor, health insurance. If you or anyone applying has health insurance coverage, even if paid for by someone else, you must prove this. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: insurance policy, insurance card, statement from provider of coverage, Medicare card. Eligibility factor: disabled or incapacitated or pregnant. If you or anyone living with you is sick or pregnant, you must provide proof. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from medical professional verifying pregnancy and expected date of birth, statement from medical professional, proof of SSA or SSI benefits for disability or blindness. Eligibility factor: unpaid bills, rent, utility. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: copy of each bill showing amount owed, period of services, and provider. Eligibility factor: referral, drug and alcohol treatment program. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from provider of treatment. Eligibility factor: employment service. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: statement from employment service. Eligibility factor: other expenses or dependent care cost. You must provide proof if you pay court-ordered support, child care, recurring loans, or for services of a home health aide or attendant. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: court order, statement from daycare center or other child care provider, statement from aide or attendant, canceled checks or receipts. Eligibility factor, school attendance. You must prove who is in school. To prove this factor, provide one of the following: school records, current report card, statement from school or higher education institution.